Have you ever wondered why something you've done for decades suddenly feels off, like your body's trying to tell you something, but you can't quite hear it? For many men over 60, private habits like masturbation, often dismissed as harmless, can quietly harm your heart, prostate, and even your ability to feel pleasure. I'm Dr. Michael Carter, a urologist with over 30 years of experience helping men reclaim strength, confidence, and vitality without shame or guesswork. In this video, I'll reveal 7 critical mistakes older men make during masturbation and, more importantly, how to fix them before they drain your energy, performance, or long-term health. You need to watch until the end because these mistakes aren't just about discomfort, they're silently reshaping your body and mind. From numbing your brain's pleasure response to weakening your pelvic floor, each misstep compounds over time, stealing your vitality. Mistake 6, which nearly every man gets wrong, could be the key to unlocking deeper satisfaction. You'll also discover practical, shame-free solutions to restore circulation, boost sensitivity, and reconnect with your body's natural spark. Whether you're noticing a drop in energy, intimacy, or confidence, this video is your roadmap to aging with dignity and power. Don't miss the final mistake. It's a heartfelt truth that could transform how you see yourself. Hit subscribe, and let's start reclaiming your vitality today. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Mistake 1. Using porn as the primary stimulus. Over the years, I've found myself sitting across from countless men, typically in their late 60s or early 70s, each wearing a quiet but deeply concerning expression. They're hesitant, almost as if they're afraid to voice something that's been weighing heavily on them. Then, with a note of resignation, they say, "Doctor, I just don't seem to feel much anymore. It's like my body is going numb, and I don't know why." And every single time, my response is almost always the same. I ask them one simple, yet powerful question: how often do you rely on pornography? Without fail, their eyes drop. It's not out of shame. No, it's because they've never considered the possibility that something so deeply ingrained in their lives could be the root cause of their discomfort. They never thought it could be doing them harm. But it is. And this revelation often leaves them stunned and disoriented. You see, when you're over 60, your brain's dopamine system, the very mechanism that governs pleasure, reward, and motivation, begins to change. It's not as sharp or responsive as it was in your younger years. It becomes less flexible and less adaptable to the intensity of modern-day stimuli. And when you flood your brain daily with high-speed, high-intensity adult content, you're overwhelming that system with more stimulation than it was ever designed to handle. This constant bombardment creates a cascading effect that your brain can't keep up with. And before you know it, this overstimulation, this relentless flood of artificial pleasure, begins to numb you. It numbs you in ways you can't even begin to comprehend. The results are heartbreaking. What was once a vibrant and exciting part of your life, your natural ability to feel pleasure from the genuine, intimate touch of another person, slowly begins to slip away. Your connection to the world around you becomes diluted. The soft caress of a loved one, the warmth of a simple embrace, doesn't feel the same anymore. Your body, despite being physically healthy, no longer responds with the same eagerness or excitement. And what's even more tragic is that many older men fall into the trap of blaming themselves. They tell themselves it's just a part of getting older, that this is the inevitable consequence of time. But I'm here to tell you, that's not the case. It's not about age. It's about overstimulation. The truth is, when you expose your brain to such constant and unnatural sources of pleasure, it loses its ability to respond to the more subtle, real forms of intimacy that are meant to nourish and satisfy. This is the hidden cause of the numbness, the loss of sensitivity, the fading connection. And if you don't take active steps to reset your brain's response system, this numbness can persist, sometimes for years, even decades. It becomes ingrained in your everyday experience. So, if you've noticed a drop in your sensitivity, if you're finding it harder to connect with your partner, if the satisfaction you once found in intimate moments feels like it's slipping away, don't ignore it. This first mistake, this overlooked reliance on pornography, could be the hidden culprit behind it all. It might just be the thing that's silently sabotaging your ability to feel, connect, and enjoy intimacy in a way you once did. And what's even more surprising is that the next mistake doesn't even have to do with what you're watching, but where you're watching it and how that environment is silently harming your body in ways that most men never see coming. It's an insidious issue that creeps up on you without warning, and its effects can be just as damaging as the overstimulation itself. Mistake 2. Masturbating while sitting on the toilet. At first, this might seem like a harmless habit, even convenient, perhaps the most private, undisturbed space a man can have. But as I've learned over the years, this seemingly innocent act is doing far more harm than most people realize, especially for older men. I've had countless conversations with men, many of them in their 60s and 70s, who confide that the bathroom has become their sanctuary. It's no longer just a place for hygiene, but for personal release, a refuge from the stresses of daily life. It's where the door locks, where there are no interruptions, and where they feel safe in their routine. However, what many don't realize, as I've come to understand through both experience and research, is that masturbating while sitting, especially on the toilet, can cause subtle but serious health consequences. The truth is, as men age, circulation becomes one of the most crucial aspects to safeguard. Proper blood flow is the foundation of not only healthy sexual function but also prostate health and the body's ability to recover after climax. When men sit for prolonged periods in that hunched, cramped position on the toilet, they're unknowingly restricting blood flow to their pelvic region. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It puts unnecessary pressure on the prostate, compresses the pelvic floor, and slowly damages the nerves, which naturally become more fragile as we age. I've seen the same pattern in my practice. Men in their late 60s and 70s who develop swelling, post-urination dribbling, trouble fully emptying the bladder, or constant discomfort in their groin area. And yet, despite all these symptoms, they never connected them to this private habit. They had no idea that this simple, seemingly harmless act could be the culprit. As a urologist who's reviewed countless scans and spoken to many patients about this issue, I can tell you with certainty that this position, which feels so comfortable and routine, can trigger a slow, damaging cycle. It impacts everything from intimacy to urination, making these daily functions more challenging and less pleasurable over time. It may not be obvious at first, but the effects add up. The good news is that the solution isn't complicated at all. It just requires a bit of awareness. If you recognize yourself in this, don't ignore it. Consider making a change to your environment. Stand, recline, or simply give your pelvic region the space it needs to breathe and circulate freely. Your prostate, trust me, is quietly pleading with you to stop putting unnecessary pressure on it. You may not feel the damage immediately, but trust me, it will catch up with you. And if this mistake caught you by surprise, wait until you hear about the next one. It's something that most older men do without even realizing it, and it's subtly rewiring their bodies to feel less with every attempt at intimacy, leaving them frustrated and disconnected without knowing why. Mistake 3. Rushing the experience. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This is something I see far too often in older men, especially those who've spent decades navigating stress, maintaining routines, or simply adapting to a life where everything needs to be quick and efficient. It's the habit of rushing through self-pleasure, treating it as a task, a checklist item, something to be completed rather than savored. It's a pattern so deeply ingrained that it almost becomes second nature. But here's the thing. Rushing is a huge mistake, and it doesn't just affect the moment. It chips away at the very foundation of your well-being. After the age of 60, your body's response to pressure, whether physical or emotional, begins to change. I've had countless patients tell me, "Doc, I just want to get it done. I don't have time to linger." And while I get it, I can't help but feel a deep sense of concern. Rushing through these intimate moments sends a signal to your nervous system, telling it to tighten up, to go into overdrive to get through it. What happens next? Your heart rate spikes, your blood vessels constrict, and the incredible relaxation and hormonal rewards that should come with release, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, never quite reach their full potential. You may still climax, but the experience, in truth, falls short. It's like eating a meal too quickly. You're full, but you don't feel nourished. Instead of the deep satisfaction, you're left feeling empty. Instead of energized, you feel utterly drained. But here's the worst part. This habit of rushing, this ingrained need for urgency, becomes your new reality. It starts to reshape how you experience pleasure, teaching your body to chase quick, shallow moments, leaving you disconnected from the true, deeper sensations that are still within your grasp. Over time, it erodes your sensitivity, making it harder to hold on to arousal, and harder to stay engaged with a partner. And worst of all, you begin to believe it's simply old age creeping in. But that's not it. It's not about age. It's the habit of urgency that's robbing you of something far more powerful than a few fleeting moments of relief. Slow down. Let the experience unfold. There's no rush anymore, no finish line waiting for you. Each moment, each sensation deserves to be fully felt. Breathe. Pause. Take your time. Your body still can experience deep, profound pleasure, but only if you give it the time and space it needs to truly feel. And here's something most men don't even realize. By rushing through the experience, you're neglecting one of the most important muscle groups in the male body, a hidden system that controls everything from the strength of your erection to your bladder control. We'll talk about that next. Trust me, once you understand it, everything about your sexual health could shift in ways you never imagined. Mistake 4. Ignoring the pelvic floor. It's astonishing how many men, even those over 60, have never even heard of the pelvic floor. This group of muscles is so crucial to your overall health, yet it's often overlooked, something I believe is truly unfortunate. The pelvic floor is the foundation that supports so much of what makes us feel whole as men. It lies beneath your bladder, prostate, and sexual organs. It's the unsung hero that powers everything from your ability to achieve erections to your control over urination, and even the strength of your orgasms. To me, it's one of those things that can make the difference between thriving and just getting by. But here's the painful reality. When the pelvic floor weakens or is neglected, its effects don't scream for attention. Instead, they creep in slowly, quietly wreaking havoc on the most personal aspects of your life. I remember a particular man who came to see me a few years ago. He was in his late 60s, a former athlete, a proud father, and a man who had always prided himself on his strength and vitality. Yet, here he was, sitting across from me, almost embarrassed, telling me that he was struggling with a decline in sexual performance. "Doc," he said, "I'm eating right, I exercise, but something just doesn't work the way it used to." It was heartbreaking to see someone who had once been so confident now sitting there, feeling defeated. What he didn't realize was that the pelvic floor, which had once been strong and active during his younger years, had gone dormant over time. Years of sitting for long hours, holding stress in his lower abdomen, and, most damaging of all, simply ignoring this part of his body, had left him disconnected and struggling. The pelvic floor muscles, once engaged with every movement and every action, were now silent and weak. I had to tell him what most men don't realize. When you neglect or improperly engage these muscles, you place immense strain on your prostate and your sexual organs. In particular, when you masturbate without involving your pelvic floor, or worse, when you push and bear down instead of engaging the right muscles, you're exacerbating the problem. This puts unnecessary pressure on the prostate and weakens the very muscles that should be supporting it. And over time, the results are undeniable. Leaking, dribbling, poor erection quality, and a significant loss of sensation during climax. It's not something that hits you overnight. It builds up gradually, creeping in with each passing year until one day you realize it's no longer the same. But here's where I want to offer you hope and a sense of urgency. The good news is that it's not too late to turn things around. Those pelvic floor muscles? They can be reactivated. It's not some magic trick, but a simple, daily habit. You start by gently tightening the muscles you'd use to stop the flow of urine, focusing on that area during arousal. It's a practice that builds awareness of your body, and over time, strengthens the pelvic floor, restoring not only physical function but your confidence too. And let's not forget, confidence isn't just about performance. It's about feeling like yourself again, strong, vital, and in control. This simple change can transform your well-being. It's an investment in yourself, in your strength, and in your future. And while we're on the subject of confidence, let's talk about something else: frequency. Too much or too little activity in this part of your life can disrupt the delicate balance of your system. You may be surprised to learn that the frequency with which you engage in these acts, how often you touch yourself, can play a far greater role in your health than you might have been told. Let's explore that in more detail next. Mistake 5. Frequency that's too high or too low. This is an incredibly sensitive and often uncomfortable topic that many older men avoid discussing. It's one of those things that remains shrouded in silence, as men grapple with feelings of uncertainty, shame, or simply a lack of guidance. Some worry that they're doing it too often. Too many moments of indulgence without any real satisfaction. Others, on the other hand, quietly question whether they've gone far too long without any release, wondering if they've somehow fallen behind or missed out. And between the shame, confusion, and well-meaning but outdated advice, men over 60 often find themselves walking a lonely and uncertain path, unsure of what is truly healthy or right for them. From what I've observed in my practice, both extremes can be harmful. When a man indulges too frequently, it can stem from a place of boredom, emotional voids, or simply habit. At first, it may feel like a quick fix, a moment of relief, but eventually, the body starts to struggle to keep up. The energy levels dip, prostate tissue gets irritated, and what was once a spontaneous, fulfilling experience starts to feel routine, mechanical, even. Over time, many men find that recovery takes longer and that intimacy in its true sense, emotionally and physically, begins to lose its spark. What was once a desire-driven act becomes more of a checklist, and that kills vitality. The body begins to tire, and the connection to true pleasure starts to fade. On the flip side, some men stop altogether. Maybe it's because of the medications they're on, health concerns that weigh on their minds, or even deep-rooted religious guilt. Perhaps they feel they're simply too old now, that they've crossed some invisible threshold that makes them feel past it. But here's where they're missing something critical. The body, just like any living system, requires regular circulation. And sexual arousal, even without climax, is an essential part of that. It helps keep the blood flowing to the genitals, nourishes the nerve endings, and, just as importantly, maintains erectile strength. It's not just about the release, it's about keeping the system alive. When men abandon this part of their lives, thinking they're beyond it, the consequences can be dire. Atrophy begins to take hold. The desire fades. That door to connection, both physical and emotional, gradually, almost imperceptibly, begins to close. It doesn't happen with a loud bang. It's more like a quiet, slow shutting of a door that you don't even notice until it's too late. There's no magic number or perfect formula for everyone, but for most men over 60, the sweet spot seems to be somewhere between once or twice a week, done consciously, with full presence and care. That rhythm allows the body to maintain circulation, restore hormonal balance, and keep everything in working order, without draining the vitality that should come from it. It's not about overdoing it or shutting it out entirely. It's about finding that balance, a delicate, healthy rhythm that lets the body stay alive and energized. And that, to me, is crucial. Mistake 6. using too much pressure or force. This is one of the most easily overlooked mistakes I see in older men, yet it's one of the most damaging. As a doctor, I've sat across from countless patients, each with a look of frustration and confusion, trying to explain their experiences. "Doc, I don't feel as much as I used to," or "It's taking more effort than ever." And often, behind those words is one silent, unspoken habit they never even thought twice about: applying too much pressure when they touch themselves. I understand it. As we age, our sensitivity inevitably decreases, and the instinctive response is to squeeze tighter, press harder, or push more forcefully, hoping to somehow recreate that sensation of youth. We think it's the intensity that will bring us back to the way things were. But let me be clear, this approach, this kind of force, is not the answer. Your body is trying to tell you something important, something it desperately wants you to understand. Force doesn't bring back feelings. It only destroys it. The nerves in your penis are delicate. They've been with you for decades, and they're not as robust as they once were, especially in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Over the years, those years of rough friction, that harsh squeezing, and using objects or surfaces that exert too much pressure, they all take their toll. They're not just harmless habits. They can cause real, physical damage. Micro tears in the tissue, the loss of elasticity, and even scarring beneath the surface can lead to things like curvature, reduced blood flow, and pain during arousal. But here's the thing, it's not just uncomfortable. The kind of damage I'm talking about doesn't just hurt at the moment. It has the potential to permanently change your anatomy, affecting your body in ways you don't even realize. This kind of trauma is like a silent thief. It sneaks up on you. It doesn't show up overnight. It builds slowly, inch by inch, and by the time you recognize it, the damage is already well underway. And I want to emphasize something here. This is the part that hits hard. When a man feels like he has to fight for pleasure, he disconnects from the joy of it. The very act of struggling, of forcing something that's supposed to be enjoyable, reshapes the entire experience. It's no longer about connection or healing. It's a battle. That shift, that mental shift from enjoyment to frustration, can impact your ability to relax, to let go, to receive pleasure in the way your body was designed to. So, take a gentler approach. I urge you to listen to your body. It deserves to be treated with care, not force. It deserves tenderness. Your future self, your well-being, your comfort, your health, will thank you for it. And there's more to this than just technique. There's a deeper, more profound mistake that transcends the physical, one that's spiritual, emotional, and far too common among older men. It may very well be the most damaging of all. And it's time we talk about it. Mistake 7. Masturbating without emotion, connection, or intention. This is perhaps the most invisible of all mistakes, and the hardest to recognize because it's quiet, hidden beneath layers of routine, and often the most heartbreaking. It's not about frequency, location, or technique. Those are secondary. The real question is, how do you feel when you do it? For many older men, masturbation gradually becomes an almost mechanical act, a dull, emotionless routine, an empty echo of what it once was. It's done out of habit, as a quick fix to escape loneliness or a fleeting attempt to relieve tension, but devoid of the passion, connection, and warmth that once made it an intimate, meaningful act. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I've spoken to so many men, some in their 60s, others in their 70s and beyond, who share the same sorrowful realization. It doesn't feel like it used to, they say, or, I don't even know why I bother anymore. And while the body may still function, the truth is their hearts have checked out. They're physically present but emotionally distant, disconnected from the experience. There's no intimacy, no warmth, no conscious awareness. This emotional void doesn't just affect them mentally, it seeps into their physical well-being too. When self-pleasure is divorced from emotion, the body begins to learn that pleasure can exist without purpose, without meaning. Sure, you may still climax, but it's not the same. The brain and body no longer release the healing hormones they once did. You don't get that oxytocin surge, that sweet, comforting bonding chemical, or the dopamine that stirs up motivation and joy. Instead, you're left with a flat, almost hollow feeling, a faint shadow of the experience you once cherished. What's more, this disconnection reinforces a damaging idea that pleasure, somehow, is always something done alone and in silence, without joy, without connection. But this doesn't have to be your reality. Even solo touch can be sacred, mindful, and transformative. It can be an opportunity to reconnect with your aging body, not in shame, but in gratitude. Your body is still yours. It still feels. It still matters. You are not lost over time. The feelings that were once so natural still exist, buried beneath the surface, waiting for you to rediscover them. Now that we've covered the 7 most common mistakes, let's take a step back. The real transformation begins when you stop simply surviving and start thriving again. The journey to reclaim strength, confidence, and vitality isn't just about what your body can do. It's about how you relate to it. Your body is still speaking to you, even if it's softer now, even if it takes longer to respond. If you've made it this far, I want to speak to you not just as a doctor, but as someone who deeply respects the path you're on. Over the years, I've watched so many good men struggle in silence, feeling defeated by age, by time, by themselves. They blame their bodies and their circumstances, and sometimes they even blame their sense of worth. But here's the truth. Nobody taught us how to take care of our bodies as they age. No one showed us how to navigate the delicate, ever-changing landscape of sexuality, pleasure, and connection in later life. The 7 mistakes I've outlined, none of them stem from laziness or ignorance. They are the byproduct of habits formed over decades, habits that once worked but no longer serve us. Slower circulation, a more sensitive prostate, a nervous system that demands gentler touch, a heart that yearns for something deeper. These changes aren't problems. They're part of the natural course of aging. Let me make one thing clear. There is nothing shameful about touching yourself. There is nothing shameful about seeking comfort, relief, or even joy through your own body. What becomes dangerous is when we stop paying attention. When we rush, when we disconnect, when we assume that what once worked will always work. You see, every one of those mistakes, using porn too often, rushing the process, neglecting your pelvic floor, applying too much pressure, or even just going through the motions without emotion, has one common thread: disconnection. And that's the real danger. Not age, not desire, but the erosion of your connection to your own body, to your pleasure and your vitality. But here's the good news. It's never too late. Your body is still here. It's still alive. It may not respond the same way, but it's still there, still waiting for you to reclaim that connection. Just like an old car that requires gentler handling, your body needs different care as it ages. But that doesn't make it any less valuable. It makes it more sacred, more precious. You still have the power to rekindle that fire, to rediscover your joy, your strength, and your purpose. So, what comes next? Start small. Be gentle with yourself. Be more mindful. Relearn the landscape of your body and use intention instead of habit. Take the time to reconnect. Your body is still talking to you. It's time to listen. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to ask you, what have you learned so far? Have you gained a deeper understanding of how to reconnect with your body and your pleasure as you age? What's one thing you've discovered that you'll bring into your life starting today? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share with us what stood out to you and how you plan to put these insights into practice. Let's keep the conversation going. If you found this video helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more empowering content like this. Your support means the world to us, and it helps others find videos just like this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.